Welcome, everyone, to the Donovan Live Postgame Show right here on WKYC's Facebook Live, along with Jimmy Donovan. I'm Dave DiNatale. Good to be back here on a Monday. Jimmy, good to see you because I have been waiting just with bated breath to sit down and chat with you about everything that happened with the Cleveland Browns over the weekend. Before we even get to that, you kind of left everybody Wednesday night because we weren't able to do a show Thursday. A lot going on, MAC tournament and everything else. You left, I thought, people with Wednesday just kind of a warning. Hey, look, you know, the Browns aren't getting any. It seemed like the Browns weren't getting anything done yet in free agency. And at the time, we wondered, well, are they going to be able to get anybody to dance with them in a trade? And that was kind of how we ended Wednesday's show. Boy, next thing we know, 4 trades in 2 days.
Well, I think it was a worry. I mean, there were a number of deals that will become official coming up, you know, on Wednesday.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Browns were involved in Alex Smith deal. Okay, they were a participant in the trade talks there, and obviously they decided to go with Washington on that because the Browns didn't want to enter into a long-term, very high number contract there. But they were in it; they didn't get it done. Right? Robert Quinn in it, didn't get it done. Michael Bennett in it. Didn't get it done. Vontae Davis was here, visited, went to Buffalo instead of coming to the Browns. And at that point, you begin to worry a little bit. I mean, here we have all this money, and we have all of these draft picks. But the draft picks, you know, don't enter into the picture right now to guys that are going to be free agents or anything. But, you know, all of a sudden you say, is the 0-16, 1-15 from the previous season, so the 1-31 record going to keep players away from coming to the Browns? Now, the only way you alleviate that was that you make trades before free agency, and they were able to do that. And I thought it was a brilliant move what they did on Friday and again on Saturday. I really do, for a different reason in the Danny Shelton deal. But they went out, they got a quarterback, they get a wide receiver and a very good one. And they get a defensive back who could be a safety. That's his real position. Or he could play corner for you. I mean, now you've changed the roster, and you've upgraded it, and now you even haven't gotten to free agency yet.
There were 2 things, and we'll look at each trade with Jimmy one by one here in a second, but there were 2 kind of takeaways I think I had on as I was writing about this Friday. Number 1 was exactly what you said. We all know how the free agency process works. Unless you're camped out on somebody's door at like 12:03 or whenever the signing period begins, you're camped out on somebody's door and you can start signing people. A lot of times these guys will talk with one team and I'll get back to you. I'm going to talk to another team. We'll get back to you and we'll let you know. You have to be, you're in that waiting period. And I think it affects sometimes what you are planning to do. And especially if you're trying to get a quarterback, that's difficult. That was number 1. I thought the other thing, Jimmy, was that what the Browns did on Friday was send a statement that, look, this trial balloon stuff and you know, analytics and everything, we're now in a mode where we've got to win now. And I'm not saying a playoff win, but this young team needs to start learning how to win. And we're going to bring some guys in from 25 to 28 years old that we think can be here for a while, who can help us win.
Yeah. Well, the roster was begging for experience. And, you know, maybe a lot of these young players are going to develop, and that's going to be a great situation if they do. But they were too young from top to bottom. I mean, you know, you're young, I'm young, and the guy next to us is young too, and that's 3 young players. You need guys that have been in the league and that have experienced something in the way of some success, but certainly they've played in games, they've played in a lot of games, they've dealt with winning, which is important here, and they've also dealt with losing and have developed a distaste for that and have moved to try and better that, and that's what you needed to do here, and they have done that, and that's the way they had to do it. And I think it was brilliant that they did it before the real free agency starts, because now that's going to be much easier going out and selling this team and this product the way it is situated today than it was before Friday.
And, you know, Chud and I talked about it Friday night, and I thought about this too. In a way, you know, you may have already sold one guy and you know, already in this before free agency begins. You know, the whole Joe Thomas thing. Will he stay? Will he go? I don't know. I know he likes Tyrod Taylor. I know he was enthusiastic on Twitter Friday night. I don't know if he's coming back or not. We should know in the next 48 hours or so. But I know this. I mean, I don't think that wasn't their intention, but, you know, if you sell a guy like Joe Thomas into coming back for a year and you know, him being willing to get up and get out of bed and fight off a bad back and a bad knee because he wants to see what this team can be coming together. Who else who you might be able to convince to come here?
Yeah, I think, you know, it's just to go out in free agency and to try and let's dwell, you know, nosedive into the quarterback situation. To go into that group of quarterbacks who are true free agents, who you're looking to make a deal with or you're going to negotiate with, there are two things you're going to have to do. Number one, you're going to have to spend a lot of money. I don't care if it's Kirk Cousins or A.J. McCarron, you're going to spend money. The other thing is, and the most important thing, and the thing that the Browns are worried about is overcommitting in years. That's what kept them away from Alex Smith. If you go get Alex Smith, or for that matter, if you go get Kirk Cousins, you're out of the, I think you're out of the, you know, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, Josh Allen. You know, you're out of those sweepstakes because you've gotten your quarterback now. You only hope it's the right decision. So therefore, I think that in a guy like Tyrod Taylor, you get a guy, you bring him in here. He went to the playoffs last year, and I honestly think, Dino, that the Browns tried to get him last year at this time. I mean, he had a high number, he had a high roster bonus, and, you know, he readjusted his contract with the Bills. He wanted to stay there. They convinced him to do that. Had that not happened, I really think the Browns would have been right on the phone to try and get a deal done to get Tyrod Taylor a year ago. Now they get him now. He comes in. He plays. He'll be the perfect, as we've been calling him now, and it's become part of our vocabulary in Cleveland, the bridge quarterback to the next quarterback. I mean, it works out perfectly. It's a good deal for us. It's a good deal for Tyrod Taylor.
You don't worry about, you know, the people that have, I've noticed that don't like the Tyrod Taylor pick, they don't like it either because he's only got a one-year deal or that the Browns had to give up a third rounder with pick number 65 to get him. I personally don't have a problem with a third-round draft pick for this guy. I think he doesn't turn the ball. I mean, you look at his numbers. He doesn't turn the ball over. It's not always flashy, but he wins more than he loses, and he doesn't turn the ball over. And he's young.
Which happened here way too much last year. The other thing is that, you know, when you take a look at his situation, is that he did take a team to the playoffs last year. And he did get benched. And they realized they made a horrible mistake in benching him. They got him right back in, and he got them a couple of clutch wins at the end of the year. And they ended up getting to the playoffs out of a tough division to get to the playoffs. So I think that that was very, very important. The other thing you got to remember, a third-round draft choice, remember, had the paperwork gone in on time on the trading deadline, they would have given up a second and a third-round pick to get A.J. McCarron. Taylor is much more proven than McCarron. McCarron's play, he's what, 3 starts? 11.
Like 11 games, I think.
Is it 11 games? Something like that. But 3 starts. This guy's played a couple of seasons. You know, that all got hatched here in Cleveland. I think it was 2015. The Browns had gone up to Rochester and practiced against the Bills, setting up a Thursday night game in Cleveland against the Bills in the preseason. And it was a nationally televised game. And Taylor was put into the game by Rex Ryan, and he went up and down the field on the Browns. And after the game, became the starting quarterback. And that was with E.J. Manuel and all these other guys, you know, and Matt Castle. Wasn't Castle there? So I think that, you know, the most interesting thing will be what style of play will he be allowed to perform inside the Browns offense. I mean, that's because he definitely has a style. He runs around. You know, he runs around, sometimes a little bit too much, but he moves around. He's very athletic. And, you know, a couple of years ago, Dino, he out RG3'd RG3 up in Buffalo that day. I mean, he killed the Browns that day. He is very, very flexible, and he's got a lot of maneuvering. He's got he's really got great footwork. As far as the thing I think they want to see, can he do this? Can he push the ball a little bit more? Can he push the ball down the field? He's very safe with the football, but safe is sometimes it's not going to get you the big play. If you have Josh Gordon, you know, you're going to be able to push the ball down the field. All you got to do is get it down there. Remember I told you, you know, the old Norv Turner line. I used to tell Brandon Whedon, just throw it up there as far as you can to Josh Gordon. He'll go get it. I mean, sometimes it's as simple as that.
And I wonder if they may still go after a free agent wide receiver, because that's one thing. This free agent wide receiver market I mean, Allen Robinson's one of the guys there. I mean, it's pretty loaded. I wonder if they may try to get the other side of Gordon taken care of. And then you have Landry in the slot. You've got your 3 receivers. Thanks for playing. Let's move on to the next position. I don't know, but I wonder if they may look there too.
Yeah, I think so. No, and a quick, easy fix would be to bring back Terrell Pryor.
Yes.
Okay, and I don't think that would cost you a ton.
No.
And you could put that, I mean, I don't know what kind of deal. I don't know. I don't think it would have to be a long deal. I think that was a bungled deal on both ends last offseason on I think the first day of free agency, because that's when Kenny Britt got the deal that Terrell Pryor the Browns had scheduled for him. So I think you could go get him. He only played in 9 games last year. He's coming off a surgery in the offseason. Right. He's rehabbing that. He shouldn't have left Cleveland. I think the Browns should have kept him.
Yep. By the way, I have the laptop open. If you've got questions for Jimmy and yours truly here on Facebook, throw them in, and we will get to them, I promise. We'll get to some of the points here already. Jake Gordon says, hey, Jimmy, give me a shout-out. Hi, Jake. We gave you a shout-out.
Hey, Jake, how you doing?
There you go.
All right.
We do that for you. Jarvis Landry, let's talk about him. He's of the group the Browns got, he is a legitimate Pro Bowl receiver coming off of a year where he had, 112 catches?
112 catches.
In the year before, he was over 1,000 yards.
Did we have 112 catches?
I don't know if we had 112 complete. I don't know if you said caught by, 112 times.
Yeah.
He, to me, he's 5'11". I think he's what the Browns had always hoped Corey Coleman would be.
Oh, absolutely.
And Corey's future is going to be kind of to be determined. But, I mean, Landry's a guy, Jimmy, you sit here and you go, he's the guy that, on 3rd and 5, he gets you an 8-yard completion, first down, move the chains.
Yeah. I remember when the Browns played the Dolphins down in Miami, they lost in overtime. And Landry he did exactly what you just said. I mean, he's in the slot. He finds that first down marker. And he makes the play, and he gets the first down for you, and that's what a slot receiver does. He can find that hole in the middle of the field, and he does that very well. I think he's fearless in doing that. 112 catches, with a quarterback change there. Remember, there was a lot of flux there because of the injuries, and then they ended up going, with Jay Cutler instead. So, the right kind of guy there. Coleman's future, you're right, is very up in the air. Imagine a first-round draft choice and only a couple of years in. But there's there's a growing up process that he has not conquered. There's an injury problem that he has unfortunately been a part of. And then on the field, there have been moments where, hey, it's right there. None more apparent than the last play offensively of the year for the Browns when he dropped that 4th down pass in Pittsburgh.
I mean, maybe he'll come back. Maybe he'll be back with the Browns. I just wonder if that might be the last time we see him in a Browns uniform. I don't know.
Well, you want to talk about
that image.
You want to talk about coming up dry, okay, in a category. Corey Coleman, Ricardo Lewis, Rashard Higgins, who I know had a good game against Pittsburgh, and maybe there is some upside there. Jordan Payton. That was all in the same draft, I think, wasn't it?
All in that 2016
4 guys in that draft because they had taken so much criticism from the year before when there were where there were receivers coming out of your ears and they didn't take any of them and kept saying, well, don't worry, we'll find our receivers. And that was a bust.
That was a major
a bust. If Coleman does not turn this around, wow, that's a big miss.
Yeah. Browns give up a 4th this year and a 7th next year for Landry, so nothing major. They'll probably, I imagine they're going to give him a nice contract, and he's critical. He's deserved it. So So you have that. How surprised were you though when you heard about the full facet of the Green Bay deal? It was one thing the Browns to go get a defensive back who I didn't even know he had safety potential with him.
That's where he played in college.
Randall, But DeShone Kizer.
I was
gone. I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. Now you got to remember, John Dorsey had an evaluation of Kizer because he was with Kansas City in the walk up to that.
Right.
They were obviously in the market for a quarterback because they made the move to get Patrick Mahomes in that draft. So there was an evaluation of Kizer, no doubt about it. Elliott Wolf and the Green Bay guys that came over here, they obviously
had their evaluation.
They had an evaluation of Kizer too. And Hugh Jackson had 15 games, to take a look at. And Todd Haley, by this time now, has seen what can we do with him, and as Ken Zampese too, because he comes over from Cincinnati. Dino, I think the turnovers are a problem.
Yep.
And there were 28 of them,
Yep.
22 by
Picks,
pass, 6 fumbles. Okay. Yep. The other thing is there's a history there. There were turnovers at Notre Dame the year before, and there were even turnovers at Notre Dame in this really good year, the first year when he burst out on the scene. I think they kind of wonder is this guy turned the ball over a lot? It's a tough thing to change and to get rid of. And the other thing is he took such a beating here, not only physically, but even more upstairs with what he had to deal with, the ups and downs and mostly downs all season long. Can you get him back? And you know, then you do the numbers game. I mean, you're going to have Tyrod Taylor. You're going to take a quarterback. And then you would have him. Okay, and how much work can you get him at that point in time?
Right.
And you're going to have a guy that started 15 games from the year before, and now there's
essentially your third string quarterback.
He's going to be your third string quarterback.
Yeah. So the Browns deal him for a guy that we've talked about this, the Browns secondary a lot on this show, is that, you know, I mean, one of the problems in 2017 was, you know, you invested a first-round draft pick in Jabril Peppers, but essentially played him out of position the entire year, playing him at free safety where he obviously wasn't comfortable. You play him at strong, you know, he's much more suited to be a strong safety guy where he can, you know, be more of a playmaker. Well, now you have a guy that can play free safety in Randall, or you can play him at cornerback, working with the McCourties. And you never know, the Browns might still draft Fitzpatrick or a comparable type defensive back, and the secondary looks a lot different now.
Yeah, it does. If you notice last year, the Browns didn't get a lot of turnovers.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes teams get a lot, sometimes they don't. Typically, teams in the playoffs have a lot of turnovers.
Yes,
they get a lot of
turnovers.
On the turnover ratio, they're always on the plus side and sometimes very high. Here's the thing, though. They never really even got their hands on a lot of passes.
Right.
They didn't break up a lot of passes.
Nope.
And I don't know if it was safety first, you know, don't get beat over your head, don't let people get by you. But still, at some point, you have to challenge. Now, I only saw Randall up close in the one game here in Green Bay. I have to tell you, though, he fought his tail off against Josh Gordon.
I know he did.
And he had a rough first half, but he blanked him in the second half. And he blanked him with physical play. That he got in the middle, he busted things up. And, you know, some people to the point said, hey, did Gordon play hard enough in that game? Or was it that this guy just played his tail off? Remember, they were in total survival mode at that time. They had to win to keep any kind of playoff possibility alive. The next couple of days in free agency will tell you probably where Randall's going to play. Because if they don't go get a corner, he conceivably could play corner, okay? Or he could conceivably go play safety. If they do sign a corner, then you know he's going to go play safety.
Right.
If they sign a safety, then I'm thinking he's going to play.
He'll play corner.
He'll play corner. But nobody will play anywhere if they draft Minkah Fitzpatrick because he's that good.
But at least looking at Randall, my own concern about him was his ability to stay healthy. But what I love about him, when you look at his, I mean, you talk about making plays and getting to the football. I mean, he's had 2 pick sixes in his career. I mean, he's had at least 3 interceptions every season he plays. So he knows how to get to the football.
Right, yeah. You have to get in and make plays on the football, and there were just so many times that, you know, we were so far off the ball.
Right.
And I understand you don't want to get beat over your head. And that's why, wasn't it called the angel safety? That's what the position that Peppers played. He was the angel. He was the guy flying way back in the secondary so as not to get beat over your head. But still, you know, you were getting beat out in front of you. And the only way to play that way and survive is that if you just have an incredible pass rush. And that pass rush isn't there yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. I think it's going to get there, but it's not there yet.
So what did you make then? That was all Friday. So the Browns made all 3 of those moves Friday and added 3 new players and, you know, really kind of made us go, wow. And then Saturday, interesting enough, Danny Shelton, another first-round pick. This one, he of 2015, one of those 2 first-round picks in 2015, gets traded to the Patriots for a future third-round pick. But, you know, Danny's a guy that I guess in Greg Williams' system, just not really the fit that I think Greg was looking for there.
Yeah, and very, very, very obvious to the naked eye, I think, that he struggled in the 4-3. He's just not built to be in that kind of a defense. I mean, when you look at Danny Shelton, you would say he is a 3-4 nose tackle. I mean, that's what he is. He's a 3-4 nose tackle. He needs to be in a 3-4. New England is and always will be a 3-4 defense
with Bill Belichick
with Bill Belichick. So good for Danny. He's going to go to a situation. He'll get 1 year there at least. I mean, you get 1 year, and if they like you, then they'll do a deal. I thought he got outplayed by a couple of guys here. Coley outplayed him, Trevon Coley, right out of training camp. Larry Ogunjobi, I thought outplayed him.
No question.
And I think Jamie Meter out-efforts him.
Yep.
I really do. I think Danny, if he was going to play in the Greg Williams, if he was going to make the transformation, and as difficult as it would be, you know, he had a weight problem every year. He fought his weight to get down to it. They would give him a number. He fought his weight every year to get down to that number. And here's the other thing. When you're thinking about whether or not you're going to pick up a player's 5th year on his contract, which the Browns can control on Shelton, at least when they had him, because he was a first-round pick. So they could control him for his 5th year. They were thinking about that. That's not going to set. That player's not going to be in a good mood.
No.
If you know, we've seen that happen before. Like when we tender these guys. To Sean Gibson was ticked off. Crowell. Crowell's been ticked off. It just doesn't work. So I think they alleviated. I think Danny's in a good situation. And I think they cleared away a little bit of traffic that they didn't need to have on that defensive line. And I think they have guys that are better suited for his defense.
Is it a cautionary tale? And I promise, folks, I'll get to some of your questions here in a second. Is it a cautionary tale, Jimmy? Maybe going forward, until there's some stability with this franchise, with the coaching staff, don't draft an interior defensive lineman in the first round. They did that with Phil Taylor a few years ago. And then obviously they did it with Shelton, because the Browns seem to change every 2 or 3 years. They change 3-4 to 4-3, and then you get guys who either, you know, they can't put their hand down in the 3-4. If they, you know, they were my defensive end in the 4-3, but they can't put their hand down or whatever, or vice versa. That seems to happen to the Browns quite a lot. Where Barkevious Mingo was another example. He just, you know, when the Cameron Wembley, you know, guys. When you start changing coordinators and changing regimes,
Schobert,
you get guys who are out of position.
You know, Schobert, well, he changed and went inside in the 4-3 and went into the middle linebacker position. Yeah, you're right. Stability is the solver of all of that. You know, like we just said, New England knows they're in a 3-4. They run a 3-4. Pittsburgh runs a 3-4. The Steelers are always in a 3-4, whether it was Dick LeBeau or you know the guy Butler that was here, you know, that has taken over there. So the situation is, yeah, you're right. As long as you're stable, then you can say, hey, listen, we need a 4-3 inside tackle to play the position, and then you're able to do that. But you're right, that's a very difficult move. And remember, these are guys, especially on those outside edge guys, that now have to, they're defensive ends in college, and they have to become outside linebackers. They're trying to do it at the NFL level.
That's very, very
I mean, there's something they never learned how to do, and that is to play, you know, running backwards. Running in coverage, dropping in coverage. That's a difficult thing.
It's a tough place to have on-the-job training.
Absolutely.
It just is. All right. For you folks out there on Facebook, Matt Curto says, I think the Browns should or will draft Barkley at 1. The Giants will take Rosen at 2. The Jets will trade up to take Darnold at 3. And the Browns should draft Josh Allen at 4. Now, this is all going to go into watching what some of these other teams, I think, are going to do at the quarterback position this week, Jimmy, as the Browns try to figure out what they're going to do with the 1 and 4. And I'm curious to see how many teams are going to be going for a starting quarterback this week in free agency. Obviously, Cousins is out there, or maybe waiting until they get things solved in the draft.
Well, here, you know, on the Barkley dilemma.
Yes.
Okay, which
that hasn't gone away.
No,
people are still talking about that.
No, and it's not going to go away either. When you're up at number 1 in the draft, there's a reason you're up there. And I would say 9 times out of 10 it's because you don't have a quarterback. Okay, that's why you're drafting first. So the most common strategy has been, if you're up there, go take a shot, try to get your quarterback, and then you won't be drafting number 1 anymore. Okay, but we are in a different situation, okay? We have a lot of needs. Here's the thing. I think if the Browns truly fall in love with somebody at the quarterback position, I think they must take the quarterback.
I do
okay,
too.
they have to take the quarterback. Tyrod Taylor is a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not long-term, and I don't think they're saying that it's long-term. I think
so
they're
either.
pretty much out in the open saying this. Now the question is, have they fallen in love with one of these guys to the point where he separates himself from the rest of the pack and they say, gotta have him.
Right.
Gotta have him.
Right.
He's the guy. Gotta have him. If they do, if that's the situation, I think they're taking that guy at number 1 and not risking, going back down to number 4. If they don't, if they feel they're all pretty equal, then yeah, that Barkley thing may play out. But I throw the Barkley thing out at you too. I think that there's a consensus belief of a lot of people that know this draft inside out that there's a lot of talent at running back.
Right.
That maybe you don't have to go to number 4 and get that guy, or up to number 1 and get that guy. Is Barkley that much? Is he the best player in the draft? Well, a lot of people say he is.
Right.
But I think where the Browns need a quarterback, okay, if they find somebody that they absolutely must have, and I don't know who it is. A lot of people feel it's Darnold.
Right.
A lot of people are projecting and saying, well, I mean, look at, they got Tyrod Taylor. Who's the guy that plays like him? It's Baker Mayfield. Right. But if they do fall in love with somebody, I think they have to take that guy at number 1.
Yeah, just turn in the card and do it. And you're guaranteed, if you do that, if you take the quarterback at 1, there is going to be a really good franchise-changing type player at 4, whether it's Barkley, whether it's Chubb, who could play on the other side of Myles Garrett on the Browns defense, or it's Fitzpatrick. You've got you'll have a guy there at 4 that can come in and be a difference-making type player. That you don't have to do anything other than turn the card in.
Yeah. Now the thing that throws everything out of whack here is if you have to suddenly go get a left tackle, and that's the key thing. And if they find out that Joe Thomas is going to retire, there are 2 methods of attack that they have to get to right away. They have to get a guy, I think, in free agency, and that's going to cost them some money. Number 2, then they have to get a left tackle, and probably early, probably within those 5 picks in the first 2 rounds.
I would think so. Somebody asked, and I apologize, I didn't have your name on, but somebody asked, your gut feeling, Joe stays or goes at this point?
I think the decision is right here, and I think it's a difficult decision. And I know that he knows the clock is ticking, and he's a team guy, so I don't think he's going to hang them out to dry.
No.
He's going to tell them what it is. But I think it comes down to this. There are days he wakes up and he says, I'm out.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm hurt. I don't want to do this anymore. There are other days, maybe after they make all these moves, that there's that natural sensation in an athlete like him that says, hey, you know what? I could work with this.
Yes.
I want to come back and play. So I think it comes down to this, Dino. I think he has to wonder, if I come back and play, can I play either at the level that everybody has known me to play at or very, very close to that level? If there's a drop-off, I don't think he's going to do it, because I just think he is so superior at that position and has had such an amazing career at left tackle that I don't think that he wants to be the guy that hung around too long.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the decision is.
We always talk about that last impression you have of a great player. That if you're
it's
prideful,
Anthony Quinn in Requiem for a Heavyweight.
You're right.
All right? Don't they make him? He's the wrestler, and they put the Indian headdress on him, and they make him run out there as an Indian running around in a wrestling thing. All right? It's Jackie Gleason and Anthony Quinn in Requiem for a Heavyweight.
Right.
You want to remember, I want Joe Thomas, I want to be at his Hall of Fame induction.
Indeed.
Okay?
Yes.
We want to be down in Canton, and we want to be down at that. And I don't think Joe wants to be the guy that they say, well, in his, what would it be, his 12th year?
His 12th year.
In his 12th year, he only played 4 games.
Right. Yeah, he doesn't want that.
No.
He'll be 11 years, 10 Pro Bowls, 10. He played 10 full seasons, 10 Pro Bowls, 10 All-Pro appearances, et cetera, and leave it at that.
I really think that's where it's at, though. I think that there's a quality of play question with him right now. And do I do this? And if I do this long rehab, and this is a heck of a rehab, that's the other thing, Tino, is if he says yes, I'm coming back. I don't think that there's concrete evidence that he would be ready to go, by the time they started the regular season. He just keeps stressing that it's a long rehab and it's going well, but there's still a lot of steps to be made.
Last question, I promise. This has been great. Thanks for your input here. I mean, it's very early in this process, but how much should Browns fans be tipping the cap to their former general manager, Sashi Brown, for the job he did of asset accumulation? I've gotten a feeling on Twitter over the weekend that there was almost like maybe a little revisionist history, and we'll have a lot of time for that. But I kind of feel, again, like Sashi is in this, it should be kind of thrown into the Chris Grant mode. At the very least, he's put the next guy in position to have a cupboard full of goodies to go get.
Yeah, assets, yeah. I think that if you remember on the very, very dark Sunday afternoon when this Sashi Brown front office was announced by Jimmy Haslam.
Oh, I remember it.
Yeah, it was right after the Pittsburgh game. It was in the stadium at about 8 o'clock at night. And Mike Pettin and Ray Farmer had been relieved of their duties. Sashi was coming in to take over. If you remember, there was a span of time given there that it was going to be a long process. We were going to take it down to the studs. But then once you started to get into it, they thought at least 3 years, right? It was going to be 3 years. So the missing part of the tribute to Sashi is I don't know what he was going to do with this draft and with the salary cap room. I don't know what he was going to do. Was he going to pull off trades? Who was he going to draft? How much was he going to spend, with the money that he had? So I don't know what his plan was for this year. But yes, if you look at it at face value, he accumulated and, he did not overspend. He didn't blow a lot of frivolous money in free agency. And he accumulated draft picks. And that's what he did. And that's what they have right now. Yeah. He has made John Dorsey's job a little bit easier than it would have been coming to an 0-16 team that was in salary cap jail and had given away draft picks. They didn't do any of that.
Nope. They at least now. And we'll see how much the Browns tend to want to use that Wednesday. I mean, we've seen free agencies, Jimmy, where teams, strike quickly at 401. We're hearing, 5-year contract with this player. Then at 412, 5-year contract with that player. I don't know. I mean, do you have any sense with how crazy things could get?
Yeah, I think they want to hit one right away on Wednesday. Now, last year, if you remember, they hit big on the opening minutes. I mean, Zeitler, Bitonio, and the center, Treader, right? They redid Bitonio's deal and the trade for Osweiler that got them the second-round pick. So they made a big splash, and they did it predominantly on the offensive line. Kenny Britt came right after that, too. I think they probably, I'm not looking at that volume, but because of what they did over the weekend, but I think that they probably would like to get one. In the barn right away, and then see where they are after that.
Be interesting to see if it's an offensive tackle, if it's a wide receiver, or if it's another cornerback, a playmaker on defense.
Right.
There's no shortage of needs for the Cleveland Browns. We know that. All right, it's going to be a big week. We'll do this again tomorrow. We'll get everybody ready for free agency on Wednesday. So make sure you join us. Thank you for your questions and comments on Facebook. I'll try and go back and answer more of them as we go. For David Herberton and for Jim Donovan, I'm Dave DiNatale. Thanks for watching the Donovan Live Postgame Show on WKYC's Facebook Live.